open wide and say, mouthwash. Hello, folks. Welcome back to our channel. This is your friendly neighborhood Goosebumps boy, and today we're going to be reviewing number 49, Vampire Breath. Vampire Breath, indeed. Finally, after all the Goosebumps books we had, finally a vampire story. Yay, I'm so glad. You know, vampires are such an interesting concept, and we finally get to see that in Goosebumps. I am so excited about this. I was so excited when I read this book and so happy to find that Stein is really, really good when it comes to narrating stories about vampires. There was a short story from Tales to Give You Goosebumps about a vampire, but this one is a full-length story, a full Goosebumps book, a 120-page book. At last, I'm so happy about this. And I was so glad as I read this book. I loved this book so freaking much. But before I move on to the book itself, I would like to say a few things about the front cover, as I usually do. So basically, there's that big coffin, and there's a vampire that seems to be trying to escape, and his mouth is open, and it seems like he's about to die, right? He's all bluish, right? It's like he's so pale, he's gonna faint or something. And he's holding these flowers in his hand, and the flowers look dead. And it's like they're drooping down, and it's like they're withering away. And basically, there's that bottle of vampire breath, you know, that is reminding us about the title. And there's that foul green sort of smoke that is pouring out of it. And basically, yes, the coffin is at the forefront of the cover, and in the foreground, and basically it's kind of gleaming, it's kind of shining, and yeah, it looks really good. It's mainly wooden and white as well, and basically it's kind of glowing in there. And yeah, we have the vampire there who is standing out basically. And yes, pretty much everything is brownish. The floorboards, the coffin, and basically we have some gray in the background, as we have the stone wall. And yeah, what more could I say about this front cover except that I really love it. Tim Jacobus, again, did an awesome job. I really like how Tim Jacobus manages to capture the main concept of the story and kind of manages to make it manages to give it a good front cover so that the readers, the viewers, would want to read this book. Again, this vampire looks so scary with his green eyes, and he sounds really about to die, right? His fangs. I didn't mention anything about his fangs, but his sharp fangs. Yeah, they look so good. They look so good. And honestly, I really love this front cover. But before moving too far away from our main topic here, which is the book Vampire Breath, perhaps let's mention about what the story is about and what happens in this book, as well as what happens in this book. So basically, our two main characters, or two best friends, Freddie Martinez, and Kara Simonetti, who are basically babysitting kids, basically younger kids. In the beginning, they're babysitting that 6-year-old kid named Tyler Brown, and basically, they kind of like pulling nasty pranks on kids. I mean, not pranks per se, but they like scaring people. They like scaring kids. They like scaring them up basically while they're babysitting. That's very bad. Don't do it if you so happen to be a babysitter and you like scaring kids, you know, while babysitting them. That's not really good, and I'm pretty sure the parents are not going to be too fond of that. So, yeah, beware. Watch out now. So basically, these kids, they like scaring each other off. They like keeping each other. They like to keep each other on their toes, and basically, yeah, they love scaring each other. And what happens is, in the beginning of this book, they're gonna be fighting at some point because they like wrestling for some reason. And I believe Kara, who's the girl, is stronger than Freddie. And basically, they're fighting in the basement. And what happens is Freddy, sorry, ends up falling down. And what happens is he accidentally knocks over this some furniture, if I'm not mistaken. And what happens is that there was some kind of a hidden door behind this cupboard or whatever you want to call it. I don't remember what it was exactly, this closet thing. And basically behind it, there's that big door, right? And as they open the door, they find out that there's this tunnel that seems to be going way down. It's basically in the basement, but it sounds like this tunnel is going down. And it's going down to an underground part of the house that they don't know about, that they never knew about. So what happens is that they decide to go down this tunnel in order to find out what it is that was hidden. And it's kind of a cool thing for them as well as they're exploring the house. And they never knew about this, right? They never even began to suspect that there might have been a hidden like path in their house, like a hidden passageway kind of thing. So they decide to go down and explore. And this tunnel is very dark, so they need flashlights. And then they stumble upon this room after walking for a few miles, if I'm not mistaken. So they're walking down for a while, and then they stumble upon this door, this room. And what happens is that there's that big coffin in the middle of it, in the middle of the room, in the center of the room. And what happens is there's a bottle that is kind of cradled in within this coffin thing, in the cushion or something like this. And this bottle reads Vampire Breath. It's a glass bottle, pretty much like the one you have on the front cover. And what happens is they're trying to find out what it is about. They're kind of wrestling it away from each other. The bottle ends up falling down. The stopper kind of, flies up. And what happens is that there's that very putrid smell that pours out of it, like a very nasty smell, like who's cutting the onions? Who's cutting the onions? The onions? Something like this. Something as bad as this. And what happens is that all suddenly after this, there's that vampire, after the mist clears up, the smoke clears up, a vampire kind of, not a vampire, but an elderly bald man happens to just pop out of nowhere. He's in the middle of the coffin, and he's asleep, and he's an elderly man. And basically, as he regains consciousness, as he wakes up after his sleep, this elderly bald man reveals to them that his name is Count Nightwing. And Count Nightwing is a vampire, and basically he's looking for his fangs, and he needs the vampire breath in order to retrieve it, if I'm not mistaken. So what happens is our main characters, Freddy and Kara, are going to be running away from him, trying to escape, trying to save their lives. And what happens is that Count Nightwing will eventually try to catch up to them. And something is going to happen. One thing is going to lead to another. And they're going to end up in a castle. To cut a long story short, they're going to be transported into some kind of another dimension, so to speak. And I don't want to spoil the book too much or anything, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. But basically, there are bats all around them, and they're in a strange location, and they don't really know what happens. But they know that in order to get back to their world, the basement, to make things go back to normal, they have to retrieve the vampire breath, as it is their only chance to escape. Vampire breath is basically it. I don't want to spoil the book in any shape or form. I don't want to spoil it any further. I apologize if I say some things that might give a little bit away, but at the same time, I have to tell you about the plot of the main plot of the story, and that's pretty much it, I guess. So, what do I think about Vampire Breath? Wow, Vampire Breath is one of my favorite Goosebumps books of all time. One of my favorite Goosebumps books of all time. I don't understand why we don't have more people talking about it. Sounds like this book, for some reason, falls kind of slipped through the cracks. Like, I didn't hear anybody speak about Vampire Breath. I heard some people speaking about other books, and some of them are so overrated in my opinion, but this one, for some reason, nobody speaks about it. And I don't really get it because vampires are really nice. They're good villains for a Goosebumps book, and I kind of wondered what Stan was gonna do about it, like how the vampires were gonna turn out to be. And it sounds like he's mastering this art of including vampires in a Goosebumps book pretty darn well, if you ask me. If you ask me, he definitely he was really good at it, right? He did it, right? He's so good at coming up with new ideas and new ways to scare the readers. As with this book, The Vampire Breath, it was so good. Really enjoyed this 49th book of Goosebumps called Vampire Breath, and I really thought that it was a fine way for Stein to introduce vampires to a Goosebumps book, and I really liked that. So the main characters, Freddy and Kara, are pretty enjoyable, in my opinion. Freddy, they're kind of those typical teenagers from Goosebumps, and they're likable, really. I really like the fact that they're so, like, they're really tight. They're cool. They're really tight friends. They're good friends. And I really like this a lot, as we have a lot. We have that a lot in Goosebumps. You know, it's either good friends or brother and sister. And this one, they sound a lot like brothers and sisters, actually. They're so tight and everything. They're so in line with each other. They kind of, yes, they're really, synchronized. They're really synchronized, I'd say. And that was so good in a Goosebumps book. The bat scene, the castle scene was pretty good. There's another character I haven't told you about. Yes, Count Nightwing, first off. First off, Count Nightwing was pretty good. And he reminds us about, the typical vampire kind of figure that we have in old movies. Vampire characters like Christopher Lee, who played a vampire, like Dracula, those kinds of well-known vampire figures. And we also have, yes, so that's pretty much it. I thought it was pretty good. Goosebumps Completionist, who is a pretty great Goosebumps reviewer. Really love his work. Check him out. Goosebumps Completionist told us that in his review of this Vampire Breath book, which was one of his first reviews, as I remember, 2 years ago, he said that he liked it. And 2 years ago, he said that he liked, I don't know if he loved the vampire, but I remember he said a few things about that. And I agreed. And Vampire Breath is a pretty good book, as the characters are really well written. The characters are really well written, whether it be the vampire, the kids. The parents are fun too. But I will tell you more. I don't want to tell too much about that, because it might spoil the book a little bit. But then we have Gwendolyn, who's another character who basically she's actually some kind of a woman, a young girl who's kept there to work in the castle. I'm not going to tell you exactly how she's involved in the book. I don't want to spoil it, but she was good. She was well written as well. And what happens after in this book really surprised me. It really shocked me and surprised me, man. I'm telling you. So, I believe that's pretty much it, really, for the characters. The story was pretty good. The beginning was so good with this tunnel thing, really. It's not every time you see this in a Goosebumps book, like a hidden kind of, place. a secret passageway. Man, that was good, honestly. And the scene in which they were in the tunnel, I loved the build up to it, the build up to the story. Everything was so good. Literally, I could literally feel that I was there in the tunnel. So, yeah, hats off to Stein for this. So he was awesome in it, and in writing about this tunnel, the tunnel scenes. Man, that was so good, so freaking good. I so loved it. The tunnel, the vampire, the fact that there is this place in their basement from old places that they never even suspected about was brilliantly executed. And then I like how the story plays out and develops. I thought it was pretty good. And then, of course, we get the final twist. Now, the final twist was pretty good, and it's funny, to be honest. It's one of those Goosebumps books that has a story that is scary and well written and everything, and it ends up with this on a humorous note, and I think the humorous note really worked well, and it was a pretty good book for what it was. It was awesome. So I liked everything about it. Vampire Breath was a pretty awesome book, and really loved pretty much everything about it. The vampire scenes in the castle, everything, man. This Goosebumps book, I don't understand why it doesn't get more love. Maybe it's because of the title, Vampire Breath. Sounds kind of dumb, but trust me, it's good. It's a nice story. It's awesome, really. Don't be fooled by the title and the picture. That sounds like kind of weird and funny, but at the same time, kind of alluring as well. It sounds really interesting when you look at it, and you don't really, you're feeling like this vampire looks scary. I want to know more. Why Vampire Breath? What a weird title for a story. What it is about? What is it about? So yeah, you won't be disappointed in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. So Vampire Breath, if I had to review this book on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd give it easily 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for you folks. Yeah, 9 out of 10 seems to be doing it. It seems to be a fair review, a fair rating. Possibly 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, I think I'd give it 9.5 out of 10, to be honest with you. A strong 9.5 out of 10, one of my favorite Goosebumps books of all time. So I'd give it 9.5 out of 10 for Vampire Breath. 9.5. 9.5 out of 10 for Vampire Breath. It was such a great book, such a treat for me, and anybody who likes vampires, really, whether it be the Twilight movies, whether it be Dracula, all these vampire books, even this television show, The Vampire Diaries, all these things, and you're into this whole vampire thing, check this out. It's kind of different, I'll give you that. It's unlike what you typically expect from a Goosebumps book. To be honest with you, it has, and it's what makes Goosebumps so wonderful is that it changes, right? The formula is not the same like all along. It can easily, evolve to something else and not be restricted to a specific kind of book, kind of story. So that's pretty much it for the review. What about you folks? What do you think about Vampire Breath? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. I really would like to hear about what you have to say on this book. And I guess I'll see you in the next review for Calling All Creeps. In the meantime, folks, stay safe. Goodbye, take care. This whole channel for you, signing off. And now I'm going to be reading the summary. He's a dentist's nightmare. Tough. That's Freddy Martinez and his friend Kara. They're not afraid of anything. But that was before they went exploring in Freddy's basement. Before they found the secret room. Before they found the bottle of vampire breath. Poor Freddy and Kara. They should have never opened the bottle of vampire breath. Because now there's a vampire in Freddy's basement. And he's very, very thirsty.